Yo, this is a test. This is a test. I'm using a fake microphone that isn't hooked up to anything to test. Let's be real here for a second. 2010s, they were kind of fucking weird. In fact, they were weird, especially as it came to entertainment. The decade really kind of saw like this massive increase in technology in terms of specifically how it comes into play to the average consumer, right? 2000s, technology wasn't really at a point where just anybody can do pretty much whatever the fuck they want. And that was especially true as it came to the production of entertainment and media and games and shit like that. But now we're past all of the Twilight bullshit of the 2000s. We're past all of the My Chemical Romance bullshit of the 2000s. Ignore the fact that this mask I'm using right now to cover up my face is literally My Chemical Romance merch. But now it's like just average people are at a point where they can just produce shit that's on the level of like massive fucking companies. It's still insane to me that just as early as like 2013, 2014, these people were just able to like make video games out of their bedrooms and then post them online only for some other guy to just make a video in their own bedroom about the game and then have that blow up the franchise into a multi-million-dollar company. I mean, just look at like Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale. Fan bases for those games are still like hugely popular to this day solely because we just had the ability to let these small creators make shit and post it.
Jesus. Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
But I mean, then again, YouTube was far from the only company and the only means of posting shit to make something popular. With the popularization of platforms such as like Roblox, users, most often kids, could really learn how to like develop these games and just post them onto one singular site, and you can just do whatever the hell you want and just people will show up. And it was this accessibility both in terms of what people can choose to play as well as what people could learn and produce stuff in the first place that really ended up turning Roblox into this site where just anybody could make whatever the fuck they want, and you couldn't find shit like it really anywhere else. I mean, you aren't gonna find some fucking game like Adopt and Raise a Cute Kid on Steam, bro. That, like, no, that's not fucking happening. And because of that time period, it was these young developers that really ended up growing alongside the internet for the first time, rather than just being like thrown into it after not having it at any point. For the first time, you're seeing the viewpoints and perspectives of developers who grew up with the internet. It's no longer at a point where people didn't have access to the internet but now do and are making shit. No, these are like kids who've just been birthed into it, and it's those perspectives that manifest in the games that you see on Roblox. I mean, these games that you see even now still are just filled to the brim with meme culture and pop culture references that wouldn't really make sense to anyone over the age of 35. I remember being in elementary, middle school, or whatever, and pulling up Roblox for the first time. When that happened, I was almost taken aback by it. Fuck. You get in there and you just see thumbnail after thumbnail of like bright colors and absurdist fucking game titles. Shit like I just talked about. Adopt and Raise a Cute Kid was on there. Fucking Fashion Frenzy. My personal favorite, Make a Cake and Feed It to the Giant Noob. You remember that one? You remember that one? That ring a bell for you? It was these games that were really plastered all over the front pages of the site at the time. I kind of mentally shut down almost, as I was trying to figure out what my first game to play should be. But that was, at least, until I found one specific game. That game was the normal elevator. Created in March of 2015 by user Now Do the Harlem Shake. Yes, that was his username. That still is their username. If that isn't the most March 2015 shit ever, I don't know what the fuck is. Now, the normal elevator, as if you haven't played, you probably would have guessed, is not all that normal, believe it or not. The game hinges on you, the player, being taken on this elevator ride of sorts through floor to floor. However, every single floor is the most whacked out shit you can possibly imagine. I mean, these floors could be anything from obbies to short animations to mini games to references to franchises. Really, anything was possible when you got in there for the first time.
Holy shit! It's the Slender Man!
I distinctly remember trying to get through every single floor once I first got on there, because that just was the mystery of it all. My mom's calling, hold on. I'm getting a red velvet cupcake, you guys. I'm getting a red velvet cupcake. However, it was this seemingly average Roblox creation on the surface that was secretly built on a morbid and cryptic storyline that would inevitably stick in the minds of the people who played it years later. However, despite this storyline being, I'm assuming, kind of stuck in the heads of both myself and thousands of other kids who played it when they were super fucking young, despite that, I don't know how this story ends. Nobody did. It just disappeared from our minds one day. Everybody forgot that this was a thing that happened, and I don't know what to make of it. So I'm making this video because what the fuck? As a kid, I was left thinking, is all of this some elaborate ARG, or is this fucking real? It's not real, by the way, obviously. Why is this twisted narrative just thrust in the middle of an otherwise seemingly normal Roblox game? And perhaps most importantly, who the fuck is the big cheat? Hello all, and welcome to the first episode of what I am calling Nostalgia Nightmares. It is the only show on the internet designed strictly for 2000s kids with trauma. Today, I'm going to be taking you back to what I remember to be the first real mainstream surge of Roblox, the mid-2000s. This is, of course, that I remember. Did Roblox have, like, a bigger surge, like, before, like, mid to like early 2010s?
Congratulations!
Back when we were chasing people explaining memes off the internet to the point where they have to fake suicides. That's real. That happened. Did we all forget that happened? Now, as I kind of alluded to in the main part of the intro, the normal elevator was legitimately the first Roblox game that I played, and I remember walking into that game and almost immediately I was hearing discussions in the chats and all of that about this mysterious figure named Gavin. I had no context as to who this was whatsoever. And so it took a long time, but after hearing enough word of mouth shit from people, I eventually gathered that somewhere buried in this game was the spirit of what I was led to believe was a dead murderer of some sort. I don't know who specifically, but it was somebody. Now, when I was of this age, like 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever, my horror fascination wasn't so much a fascination, but more so a sense of morbid curiosity. I was kind of constantly paranoid about just anything relating to horror, to the point where I was riddled with anxiety. And I still, even as an avid horror enjoyer today, I can't sleep with the lights off. I can't do that shit. If you do that, you're fucking insane to me. What do you think I bought these lights for, bro? It was like watching a car crash where I just couldn't look away from that shit. And so as a result, it was like hearing about this mysterious Gavin figure was almost like a parasite infested in my brain. I immediately had to know exactly what happened. I couldn't survive if I didn't know exactly what happened. But this story was unfinished at this point in time. Because of that, like, unfinished nature of this story, I kind of never got the answers that I wanted so desperately, and as a result of that, it let my imagination just run wild with the craziest shit imaginable. There were infinite possibilities as to what this almost demonic character in nature could be. So, almost a decade later at this point, the story is still kind of stuck in my brain. But looking back now, I had that realization that I just talked about, where for one reason or another, I never saw through the ending of that. And surely by a decade at this point, like 7 years, it's gotta, like, progressed, right? But no, as I grew up, that narrative seemingly fell into near obscurity. But with no new, like, installations of this story whatsoever, it just kinda got forgotten about. So I woke up about a month ago and I said, hey, what the fuck was all of that shit about anyway? But now I know what the fuck that shit was about anyway. So, without further ado, here is the true story of the normal elevator. The same one that I almost forgot about all these years later. This is the story of Gap. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Just fuck. Who the fuck is this? Hello? Yeah. Hey, what's up, man? What? Wait. You're telling me there was another game? Wait. And it's related to the normal elevator? And I've got to talk about it? Hold on. Can I call you back? Alright, cool, yeah. Thank you, bye. So I'm fucked. Okay. Stay with me here. I promise I'm gonna talk about the silly popular Roblox game in just a second, but I have to lay the groundwork here, okay? Just bear with me. A year before the normal elevator came out, I will never be able to pronounce normal, by the way. I can't do it. It's a strange word. The creator created their seemingly first Roblox game, The Normal City. Now, admittedly, I did play on this game here and there a little bit as a kid, but it wouldn't end up taking off in terms of popularity anywhere close to as much as the normal elevator did. In fact, it was the normal elevator that largely directed most of its fan base to this game. And, I mean, if I'm being honest, and this isn't mean-spirited or anything, but it's not that hard to see why this game didn't take off quite as much. When you take a look at the gameplay of this game, it's pretty much just like a really goofy, meme-filled sandbox game. Disney Infinity, but make it horrible. Just kidding, Disney Infinity already is horrible. You can't make it more horrible. You could drive makeshift cars or get attacked by aggressive pizzas. You could explore houses or kill every single player you come across with giant fucking bazookas. The sky really was the limit with this game. But as a result of that, it kind of lacked any sort of concept while simultaneously priding itself on just its supremely chaotic nature. Though, of course, you guys aren't here to see my review of the game itself. So how does this mysterious Gavin figure play into all of it? Well, despite only ever seeing one aspect of his storyline in this game as a kid, there are way more things in this game that I just found out about now, 7 years later. But still, I kind of want to paint a picture of where I was at as a kid first discovering this ARG thing for the first time. So I'm just gonna omit some of that stuff for now, and we'll get into it later. Trust me. The one thing that I did find was behind one of the houses on the map. There was this small hedge of sorts behind this one pink house that you could travel through. But by glitching through the walls inside of it, you would unlock this bunker done in this ominous red lighting with kind of creepy paintings on the walls and weird messaging and all that shit. Don't get me wrong, this isn't scary now to me, but accidentally finding this when I was like 10, 11, fucking horrifying. I hated it. I hated all of it. It was terrible, and I cried. And by the way, I did mention writings on the walls and all of that. That's another thing I'll get into later. Like I said, I'm trying to be as honest to where I was at as a kid first discovering this, and if I'm being honest with you, I couldn't stay in this room for more than 10 seconds at a fucking time. I'm not reading that shit. But one of these other things that I didn't find out about really until now was a campfire segment in which, lo and behold, it just straight up tells you the story. Just point blank. Like, seriously. All I had to do was just find this fucking campfire in some woods in this game, and I could have just been told this shit. I didn't have to have this haunt my fucking mind for 7 years not knowing what the fuck this shit was about. I could have just tried harder. Like, fuck. So I'm not gonna play the whole story yet and how it would be presented to you because the footage I found of it was kind of shit.
Didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
So I'm just gonna summarize some stuff for you, alright? Gavin was this silly little guy who lived in the normal city, and he eventually fell in love with a character named, hold on, Duffy XX. Roblox in March of 2015, everybody, let's go! Now this character, who I'm just gonna be calling Duffy from here on out, didn't love him back that much, if we're being honest. So he, like any normal person would, went into the woods, killed himself, and has now decided to manifest as some ghost spirit demon entity that kills every other person in the normal city. That's right, everybody. We got an incel ghost on our hands. So, knowing what we know now, we can finally talk about what we're all here to fucking talk about. The normal city. Sorry, not the normal city, the normal elevator. Now, when you first played this game, and when I mean first played this game, I mean like back when this was the version you would play. You can still access this version today, but you have to go through and like find the old version or whatever. You would go through this lobby, and on the side of the lobby itself, before you actually went to the elevator, there was a door. This door was locked with a passcode of some sort. This, to me, just first logging in, seemed to be decoration, but it was most certainly not. Through word of mouth, I was told that you could enter some code of some sort, and this would unlock something called Gavin's story. I didn't know what this was. Now, having heard about this Gavin character and honestly not even really believing that the passcode was a possibility in the first place, I tried that shit and it worked. It certainly worked. Now, I am going to play the full sequence of what would happen if you did this in the game, which lasts for a few minutes. If you want to skip it, you can. This is the time code to skip it right here. You can just go to there. But if you don't, and I recommend that you don't if you don't know this story, and even if you do know this story, it's probably been a while since you've last seen it, so your memory might be kind of hazed like mine was. So just watch it, but make sure you're kind of putting yourself in the shoes of like a 10-year-old kid discovering this shit for the first time and not even knowing that it would even unlock anything in the first place. So I'll forewarn you, sure, it might not be all that scary now, but rest assured, to me, to me it most certainly was.
Do you know how long I've been waiting? Do you know what it feels like to be abandoned, thrown around, to be someone's ragdoll? Do you have any idea what it feels like to love someone, to have your heart broken by them? Well, I'm over it. I've learned it's just a part of life. I've learned being neglected is normal. I used to live a normal life in a normal city, and now what? It's been 1 year since I've died. Over the course of the year, I've been watching, waiting, waiting for people to know my story, waiting for people to feel the pain that I felt. And now I got you guys right in the palm of my hands. Why am I showing you these places? I'm showing you your ignorance. You're oblivious. I've been getting signals. the same. And that's why you're here. You don't care about me. You only want to entertain yourselves. No one cared about me when I died. No one cared about the signals I've shown. You are all bad people. This world will be better when it's rid of everyone like you. I'm not the monster here. It's you. It's about time. It's time to take you out of this world. And let me tell you a little secret. 3 days I've been alive. 7 days until someone noticed. 9 doors ahead. I hope you understand which door to pick, or else there will be consequences. I hope you understand which door to pick, or else there will be consequences.
Alright. We gotta talk. There is a lot to unpack here. First and foremost, let's just talk about what this means for the narrative. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of this all later, but let's just talk about narrative shit. We essentially throughout this story get a monologue from the perspective of Gavin from the previous story I just talked about. This is really interesting since it takes this character and it makes them feel more real. I mean, admittedly, sure, the voice acting kinda sucks and a lot of it isn't that good, just premise-wise, but this is much better than just text appearing over a campfire. We're genuinely, for the first time, getting a dive into who this character is in a way that is from an interesting perspective. But in this same sense, we also get some level of a suggestion that this Gavin character might not be all he's cracked up to be. Rather, he might just simply be some innocent individual possessed by some less than pure entity of some sort. Narratively, it seems as though Gavin might just be this truly innocent character, but it also begs the question, who is this mysterious entity in the first place? Outside of the sequence, though, there isn't a whole lot to go off of. We do get some more glimpses into this character here and there, both in the normal elevator and the normal city. Sometimes this takes the form of a suicide note, or sometimes it takes the form of the bunker I talked about earlier. You have this goofy ass fucking text that I talked about where it just says, "I'm not crazy. I did it because I love you." But it never seemed to hint to what this story might be trying to say with this new, much more inhuman character. In fact, this was it. This was all that we ended up getting of the story of Gavin. In fact, if you go and play the normal elevator today, you literally have to go into the old build of the game manually in order to even access Gavin's story. For all intents and purposes, it seems as though this narrative was just largely abandoned from this point forward. So this means that instead of coming on here like I hoped and being able to just magically uncover and describe some mysterious new force to you and resolve all of the tension of this shit from your childhood, it seems as though all of this was just lost to obscurity. And the fact that the creator was probably just a young fucking kid when he made this shit. Now I'm instead just left facing this thing that once scared me, but now years later just kind of feels underwhelming. But what I realized is that none of that shit matters in the fucking first place. I mean, here I am, almost a decade later, past when I first discovered this shit, still talking about this hidden story, trying to find answers to it. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. This was just some goofy fucking attempt at an ARG by some kid who just was having a good time and wanted to tell a story that kinda sucked, sure, but was fun. And in a strange way, doesn't that speak to the core principles of what the mid-2010s form of the internet kind of allowed us to do in the first place? I mean, some fucking kid named Now Do the Harlem Shake was able to just create this whole narrative and build it from the ground up and present it to the world in a way that, I mean, sure doesn't hold up, but infested itself in the minds of the people who played it. And people did play it. I mean, people as big as the Diamond Minecart did whole videos covering this very game.
Hey, how's it going? I've actually got something for you. This is the bread that you asked me to get, and you can now go make me a sandwich.
So, you know, maybe this whole Gavin story was kind of corny, kind of stupid, kind of silly, but the fact that I'm here talking about it now is kind of a testament to how the internet as a whole was. It shaped us in this place where legitimately anyone could just make some form of entertainment and leave a genuine impact on people. Or maybe I was just a fucking weenie. Thank you guys for watching this first episode of Nostalgia Nightmares, that I'm calling it. I promise the other ones are gonna be better, but you've got to start somewhere, don't you? Also, this is probably my first YouTube video ever, which is fucking sick. Hi, I'm Ash. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing this now. I'm also gonna plug some shit in a second, but really I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Please don't click off yet, by the way. I have some shit I want to talk about. I mainly hope to talk about music on this channel. I'm going to be talking about some other shit too, some movies, some other things like that. I've got multiple scripts that I have just saved up in the back catalog for you. So I can just throw you some raw fucking meat like a bunch of fucking dogs. Now, plugs. I've got to plug my shit, because I gotta make money somehow on a YouTube channel with not even 50 fucking subscribers and make that shit work. So, I make music under the same name, Ash to Ash. In fact, if you just click on my channel, you can probably find that music right now. It's not like I have a million other videos just built up right now, so you can just find that. There will be a Bandcamp link in the description below. It's mostly like ambient type shit, noise type shit for the weirdos. If you're a weirdo like me, you might like it. If you're not a weirdo though, I'm sorry for what I have done to you. I also have a Twitch page that I have hopefully been active on. I just made a post today as of recording saying that I'm gonna be on there bi-weekly. Yeah, other than that, thank you for watching. You like green beans?